Three true, scary horror stories. Story number one. I was 15 when this happened. I got in jail a lot, as so did my mother and father. We were all wanted food, and we didn't get any. I don't know why. We were poor, we were going homeless, and we just needed food, money, water. So we did a lot of robberies. Some were successful, some were not. I've gone to jail 42 times during my robbing experience, and I've always gotten in the same cell with my parents. But this one particular time I robbed a house scares me still to this day. We were walking and we found an abandoned house, which was my friend's grandma's house, who's now dead. So we broke the windows and we ran inside. It was just me this time because I was confident and people would be in there. So I went to the food. I grabbed all the food and grabbed all the money. That's when I heard it. I heard a loud thud coming from the upstairs. Oh! I got jump scared. So I ran and hid into the cabinet. I heard footsteps coming down the stairs. That still sound scares me. In the cabinet, I was fear and full of sweat. I heard a man walk in to the kitchen. I ran out of my cabinet, and I saw the man. He was very tall, had crazy black hair, pointy black hair, had big eyes that were red, and a creepy smile. His mouth was full of glass, and his mouth was bloody, dripping blood. He was an insane man. He was about 8 feet, 9 feet, at max 10 feet. This was crazy to me. Never seen anything like it. At this point, I was scared. I was petrified. I couldn't move because of how scared I was. So I just stood there. Then I blacked out. I woke up and I tried to move, but I couldn't. I tried to move my arms, but only one arm responded. I moved my left arm, but my right arm was not responding. I looked at my right arm and it was chopped off. I didn't have the money in my pockets no more. I didn't have the food or the water. I looked around and nobody was there. My left arm was tied to a rope, connecting to a chair that the chair I was sitting on. "Oh, so you're finally awake," said a deep voice. I didn't recognize the voice. "So, are you ready for your other arm?" That's when I knew it. I knew what the voice was coming from, and this still scares me to this day. My friend, that was my friend's grandpa, who's now dead. And this still haunts me to this day. I've never gone to this house again. Anyways. "Alright, let me get it." He pulls out a chainsaw, and that's when I went. I yanked the rope, and it broke and it snapped. When I ran as far as I could, I broke the glass, punched through it, and ran out. I didn't call the cops when I believed a cab was true, because all cops are bad. This was very scary for me.
Story 2, Grandma's Flowers. This is a true story that happened to me when I was 25 years old, and it still terrifies me to this day. One day, when I was 25, and I was living with my grandma, because my parents died when I was 2 years old, in a terrible plane crash caused by Hurricane Katrina. So I was living with my grandma at 25. And one day, when I was 25, I was making lunch in the kitchen for my grandma and me. And my grandma was working in the garden. And all of a sudden, while I was making lunch, I heard my grandma scream, "Wah!" So I ran out to see what was going on. And I found my grandma lying dead in the grass. I was so scared that I called the police, and I immediately left the house. And I moved out, and I moved into an apartment. And I swore to never return to that house again. I never really thought about it from that day on. But 10 years later, when I lost my house in a terrible gambling incident, I decided to move back into my grandma's house. And once I got there, I met a nice young couple who said that they could let me stay. They said, "Oh, this was your grandma's house? You could stay here as long as you want." And I thanked them, but the husband just had one thing to say. "Now, son, just know that from the hours of 12 o'clock to the morning, don't look out into the garden." So immediately that night, I stayed up till 12 o'clock and looked out into the garden. And I saw a flower glowing bright red. Now, I figured since I didn't die immediately, nothing was going to happen. So, I went to bed and never thought about it again. 3 weeks later, I was still living in my grandma's house with a nice couple who adopted me as their son. And while I was sleeping, I heard my grandma say to me in a dream, "Why did you look at that flower, you dumbass?" And I immediately sprung up. I was terrified. I ran out of the house without even saying goodbye to the couple, and I never returned to that house again. It's been 45 years, and I'm 80 now. And all I know is that I'm never going back to my grandma's house again. This terrifying true story was true and terrifying, and I'm scared even sharing it with you today.
Story number 3. When I was 13, which was 5 years ago, I'm 18 now. Looking back on this story is horrific. My parents were gonna be home alone for the night. No, I was gonna be home alone for the night. My parents were out of town. My brother was sleeping over at a friend's house. 13 years old back then. We lived in a safe neighborhood where no one was around, really. I was in my bedroom, and I went to the bathroom. Did my business, and went back to my room. Then I heard a crack. I heard it coming from the bathroom. That scares me. I thought nothing of it, as it could have been just my cat breaking the window, as it usually does. So I continued playing Xbox with my friends. Then I heard someone walking. Was my parents home early? I had no idea, but I turned off my Xbox instead. I locked the door, and I ran to the closet and hid. I heard 3 good bangs on the door. Took 3 good bangs. Took 3 good bangs to knock down my door. I was scared. So my closet has a sliding door and then a door on the other side that's also sliding. It had 2 doors that slid for entrances of the closet. I heard the robber open one side of the closet door. That's when it was my turn. I opened the other side. I grabbed his balls. I felt the balls running in my hands, and I ripped it off. And I felt blood splatter everywhere. He fell on the ground. That's when I ran. Running as fast as I can. And he said, "I'm not done yet." And then I heard a faint scream. The scream still scares me. I heard someone skipping at least 5 steps down the stairs. I was only at the bottom of the stairs. He was running faster than ever with his balls off. He was about to touch me. I ran for the door. I felt a firm grip grasp my shoulder. That hurt me. I was about to black out. But then he dropped to the ground. Guess it's weird. He just dropped to the ground. And that's when I called 911 and he was arrested. He was pronounced dead, but then he was just blacked out and couldn't breathe. Thank you for watching. Also, if you're wondering why I'm not uploading a lot, it's because I'm on vacation. I get home tomorrow. Stay tuned for that.